Hello, everyone. Welcome to this revision program that we're having this week. I'm Lindy, your technology teacher, and I was doing pneumatics and hydraulics with you before we closed. And today I will take you back there so that we all remember everything that we did, so that we are all on the same footing. And I hope that you did enjoy your rest. Okay. I remember it was a little bit difficult for you to grasp the concepts and the skills last time we were together. But when we polish them again today, I hope that everything will be clearer. And today, because you're revising, I want us to talk. So I expect Melanie, our host, to allow you to unmute yourself so that when I'm looking for your responses, I can interact with you. Okay, I'm very talkative and I would like us to talk a lot. I like a talkative class too. We are going to look at hydraulics and pneumatics, compressible and incompressible materials, hydraulic machines, and we are going to do a little bit of an activity together. And we are going to explore one hydraulic machine together. Okay. Remember, we said pneumatics use gas or fluid. Who can tell me? What do pneumatics use, gas or fluid? My class, my learners, where are you? I want to talk to you. Let me see my participants. If you want to answer me, please unmute yourself and answer me. We'll be talking, the whole time we'll be talking. So please get used to talking, don't be afraid of me. I'm waiting for the answer. Who wants to talk? Melanie, where is our class today? Because everyone is quiet.
There's some that has answered in the chat box, and I have also given them rights to unmute themselves. So it's up to them whether they want to talk or not, I suppose.
Grade 9. Where are you guys? This is only the beginning. There's a lot of talking we are going to do. Ma'am? Yes, darling?
Ma'am, the first one is gas and the second one is fluid. Pneumatic is gas and hydraulics is fluids.
Thank you. So I can see I'm in a grade 9 class. Thank you very much. I just wanted to see if I'm really in a grade 9 class. Hey. Compressible and incompressible substances. Okay. From the experience and your previous lessons, you have come across compressible and incompressible substances. You know, something that you will really be pushed down when you exert pressure on it, that is compressing, okay? So some materials are compressible and some are not, okay? Right. I want you to tell me, Which materials are compressible and which are not? Okay, tell me, is sand compressible? Sand, can you compress sand?
No.
Yes? Can you compress sand? You cannot compress sand, ne? What about grass? Can you compress grass? Anyone can answer? Can you compress grass? Nkabetsi?
Good day, ma'am.
Good day, Nkabetsi. How are you?
I'm good, and you, ma'am?
Yes, Nkabetsi. I'm pleased to meet you again. Were you in my previous class, Nkabetsi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I remember you. Tell me, Nkabetsi, can you compress grass?
No, ma'am.
Grass. If I cut grass and I put it in a bucket and I press it down, will it really go down?
No.
Are you sure, Nkabetsi? What do other learners say?
Ma'am, the only thing that I know you can compress is air.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, let me take that one as a correct answer. You can compress air because, can you tell me, why do you say we can, have you seen?
It's a pneumatic substance.
It's a pneumatic, ne? It's
Yes.
a pneumatic, compress air. Have you ever seen a compressor, Nkabetsi?
Yes, ma'am.
It's called a compressor.
Yes.
It works with compressed air, okay? But grass you can compress. You can compress. Imagine if I cut grass with my lawnmower and I put it in a bag. I can press it down so that I keep adding more and more grass. So it is compressible. Eh? Paper
Yes,
bundle.
ma'am.
Can I compress
Yeah.
bundles, class? What about paper bundles? If I pack paper, I pack paper, can I compress it?
Ma'am, if you can compress grass, then you can also compress paper bundles.
Yes, that's smart. Water? Can I compress water?
No, ma'am.
I cannot compress water. Can I compress oil?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, I cannot compress oil. So tell me, for a hydraulic machine, for the hydraulic machines that we looked at last time, what is the reason why we use water or oil? Remember, we called it hydraulic fluid. Why? Why did you choose to use water and oil in our hydraulic machines to lift objects?
Because hydraulics need liquid to function.
Hydraulics need liquid to function. And the advantage of these hydraulics is that it cannot be compressed. So when I apply force, that force will really make the follower tube or the output cylinder to move because it does not compress. Imagine if I could compress water. I would be pushing and pushing, but all my force will be used to compress instead of making the output cylinder to go up. Do you remember when you looked at those systems? This is what I'm talking about. If this is a hydraulic system and I am pushing here on the input, what will happen? The hydraulic fluid will move from the input cylinder through the pipe to the output cylinder, right to the ram. The ram is this part, which will be working on the material that you are trying to cut. You see? Now, if water or hydraulic fluid was compressible, I could be pushing, only to find that this output cylinder is not getting any advantage from my input, because I would be compressing the water. So water and oil is not compressible, so it is very good to be used in this system. If I push, it pushes. Can you understand? Class, are you with me? Where's my
Yes,
class?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. Nice. So, can you look at this machine? Can you remember this machine? We looked at this machine in our last lessons.
Yes, ma'am.
What did we call this machine? What is the name of this machine? Holidays. Holidays. Have you forgotten? Let me look at my class. Chantel. Where's Chantel? Does anyone know the name of this machine? Just for 1 mark. Remember, we are revising now, preparing for our assessments. If I could ask you a question, what is the name of this machine? Did you lose the 1 mark?
Ma'am, is it a hydraulic press?
Ma'am?
Yes, yes, you got it right. It's the hydraulic press. So you get the 1 mark.
Ma'am, what are we doing?
Did you ask what are we doing?
Yes, ma'am, I just joined.
We are revising. We are revising hydraulics and pneumatics.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, my darling. You know why we are revising? We are preparing for our. So I'm gonna start doing with you what we have done, and I'm also so that you complete mechanical systems and control. So this is just a reminder for today, okay? It's a revision. All right, are we together now? So this hydraulic press, what is it used for here? It is used for doing what? Just looking at this diagram, what can you say is the function of this hydraulic press?
To compress.
Yes, it does compress this part. Okay, let me take it slowly with you. Let's look at these circles. What are these, or what do they look like?
Ma'am, are those washers?
They are washers, very good. So this is what? This big material here is what? It is a metal sheet. This is a metal sheet
Yes,
which is which is cut by this hydraulic press. The pressure exerted here, the force, will come here to the output cylinder, to the ram. This is the ram, and then this whole part is the ram. It is going to cut the metal sheet to make these washers. Can you understand the function of this machine now?
Yes, ma'am.
It uses pressure. It uses pressure. It compresses. Do you understand? It compresses. So for this hydraulic press to use force to compress and cut out these washers, you need what? A hydraulic system. So this is why we call, that is why we call this a hydraulic machine. It is one of the hydraulic machines that you looked at. You must just understand how it works, because there are many other hydraulic presses used for different functions. We'll just look at another one. Okay? We'll look at another one. Now, this is another hydraulic machine. We have a hydraulic machine inside here. This is a tipper truck, obviously used for what? For, what is this? What is this?
A garbage truck.
It's a garbage truck. This is rubbish. It's all the garbage, ne? But when you look at this garbage, it is compressed, because if this garbage truck is traveling from street to street collecting garbage, it must have enough space in this container to collect all the garbage, all right? So what is common between the hydraulic press and the tipper truck? What is common?
Ma'am, is it the force of compression?
It uses compression. So inside this tipper truck, there is a hydraulic press, because the tipper truck needs to compress all this rubbish, all this garbage, for it to be contained neatly in the truck so that it can be disposed where they dispose of the rubbish at the dumping site. So this machine that you see here, the compressor, okay, the press is inside the tipper truck. So inside the tipper truck, there is a hydraulic press. What is the function of the hydraulic press that you find inside the tipper truck? It is to compress the garbage so that it can be stored in the inside this container for it to be disposed in the dumping site. So you now know that there is a hydraulic press inside the tipper truck. Did you all know that before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
From our previous lessons, ain't it? Good. Now, we also looked at another example of a hydraulic machine. What is this hydraulic machine?
Ma'am, a jack.
It
Car
is
jack.
it is a car jack. It is used to do what? To lift what? The car.
Cars.
Yes, when you are changing the tires and everything. Now I want you to do this. I want you to look at the labels from A to E. I want you to look at the labels. Now I want you to tell me how this machine works by telling me what is that label. We are all going to contribute. Okay, we are all going to remind each other how this machine works. One of you can tell me what A is and what it is used for. What is A? Or you can tell me what A is used for. My class, grade 9? Grade 9? Grade 9?
Ma'am,
Are you still thinking, trying to remember?
ma'am, I think it's used to pull up the car when you want to fix the tires.
Okay, this whole machine is used to lift the car when you are pulling up, when you are pulling out the tire. But now I want us to understand the operation of this machine because we want to see how the system of this machine works. And I'm just giving you a clue. It starts here. It starts on A. That's why I labeled it A. We call this a what?
A lever. Ma'am, is it a lever?
It's a lever. Very good. It's a lever. That is where your input is. Your input is here. So what happens here on the lever? On the lever? What do you do with the lever? James?
You press it down.
Press down the lever. When you press down the lever, do you press it down once?
You press it down multiple times.
You pump it, okay? To pump is to repeat the pressing down. You press it down repeatedly. Very good, James. Then when you are doing that, what happens to B? B will be our input cylinder. You see, this is our input cylinder. I've already told you what
And B presses
B is
down
the input cylinder. B is our input cylinder. So when you are pumping A, what happens to the input cylinder? The arrow is giving you a clue. Grade 9?
It moves down.
Very good. The arrow is giving us a clue. The input cylinder moves down. When it is moving down, something happens to C. I want somebody to tell me what is C. What is this label C?
It's the oil that gives
oil.
us an advantage.
What do we call it? Because this is a hydraulic machine. What is this oil called? What do we call this oil?
Liquid.
We call it a? I'm giving you a clue. This is called a hydraulic machine. So what do we call this oil? We call it what?
A fluid.
Hydraulic fluid. This is called hydraulic fluid. So what happens to it when the input cylinder goes down? It is being pumped by the lever. The input is here on the lever, and the pumping on the lever pushes down the input cylinder. Then the input cylinder will have some action on the hydraulic fluid. What will the hydraulic fluid do?
Move the largest cylinder to give us a mechanical advantage.
It moves to some of the hydraulic fluid will go into the, okay, when the pumping is being done, okay, it opens the valves. I didn't ask you about the valves. Okay, the valves will allow the flow of what? Of the oil from the oil reservoirs, and then it goes out to the output cylinder. And this is the D. D is the output cylinder. Then this oil, because we said you cannot compress oil, when you pump it, then it will move and lift this output cylinder. D is the output cylinder. What is E? E. I have told you what E is when we were discussing that hydraulic press. What is E? E will be touching the car.
Where the load goes.
Yes, what do we call that part where the load goes? It is called the just for 1 mark. What do we call this? It is called the RAM. RAM, the RAM. The RAM is where the load goes, and then the output cylinder will push up the RAM, and then it will then lift the car. That is how this hydraulic jack works. Okay, let me take you back. We said A, you must first name the part and discuss what happens. Okay, you discuss the operation of this machine by naming and describing the function of these parts of the machine. This is the lever where the input is, the effort, the input or the effort is. So the effort is to pump, push down the lever, pumping and bringing down the input cylinder. The lever will push the input cylinder down. So when the input cylinder is pushed down, then it exerts force on the hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid, when it is pushed, will open up the valves so that the hydraulic fluid goes to the output cylinder from the oil reservoir to the output cylinder. Then the effect will be that the force will push the output cylinder up, lifting the object that is attached to the ram. Okay, so there you have your marks. It's not difficult. You just have to understand how this machine operates. Okay, does everyone understand this machine? Do you understand this machine? Grade 9. Can you get full marks for this machine? Does anyone want a further explanation on this machine? Are you with me? Have you lost me? You're so quiet. Okay.
No, ma'am.
You haven't lost me. Now, let us
Yes.
look. I gave you this worksheet. I don't know if you did it, but let's look at it. Let us look at the design of the hydraulic jack. Okay. We make machines, and we make machines to make our lives easier. You know, if there is a machine that doesn't really make our lives easier, that machine is useless. We don't need it. So sometimes in technology, we will stop and evaluate the machines that we learn. Now, let us look at this one. Let us discuss this as a class. Who uses a hydraulic car jack? We all know that, hey? Who uses a hydraulic car jack?
Mechanics.
Who?
Mechanics.
Mechanics. That's correct. Who else? Is it mechanics only?
And drivers.
Drivers, because somewhere on the road, you can have a puncture. Then you have to get your car check and change your tire. So the correct answer there would be mechanics and drivers or motorists. All right. Next question. What do you do with a hydraulic car jack? We can all answer that one. You lift your car to change the tire. Is a hydraulic car jack a good tool to lift a car? I want you to answer that yes or no, and then explain to me why you say a hydraulic car jack is a good tool to lift a car. Do we need this machine?
Yes, ma'am. It's a good thing because it uses less input and gives us more output. That's an advantage.
As you said, it gives us more output. Instead of lifting a car, we can instead pump. We can pump this lever. It's better to pump this lever than to lift the car. So by pumping this lever, it's lesser input, but we get a larger output. So from the input cylinder, force that we have applied here is multiplied here. It is multiplied in the output cylinder so that that force is enough to lift the car, which is sitting on the ram. Okay? Can you all understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are hydraulic car jacks made of? Do you have a hydraulic car jack at home?
Yes, ma'am.
What materials are hydraulic car jacks made of?
Steel, rubber, I think. Steel and rubber.
Steel and rubber. Okay, let's go back to the car jack. This would be steel. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
This also would be steel. And the rubber, where would the rubber be? Give me the label where the rubber would be.
E. E.
And also A.
E, did you say E?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
rubber. And also on the surface of A, Why would you need the rubber here? Why would you need rubber here? Grade 9? Why would we need the rubber here?
So it's not heavy for us to pump.
So, I'm sorry. This venue today seems to be having so much noise. The rubber here would make it easy for the user to handle the lever, ne? Because you might be using your hand to pump here, to pump this lever. So for the lever to be user-friendly, we need it to be covered. Even if it can be metal inside, but on the outside, it could be rubber. That would be a very lovely car jack. And also on E, why would you need rubber on E, on the ram? What does the rubber do there?
Protects the car so it doesn't get damaged.
Yes, so that it doesn't scratch the car. Remember, scratches on the car can be very expensive. So the design of the car jack here would be good if it had rubber on A and on E. So it would be made of steel and rubber. I like the way you are responding to this question. What materials, what does a hydraulic car jack cost, more or less?
Ma'am, I think it costs more, but then it is also cost effective because with good maintenance, it can last for years.
Okay, you're right. I will allow you to guess here because I know that you haven't bought car jacks, but having given you that worksheet that I asked you to.
Ma'am, it ranges from 1,500 to 2,000 rand.
Oh.
It ranges, what do other people say? Do you say it ranges from 1,200? 1,600? What is let me say, what is the cheapest hydraulic car jack you can get?
I think it depends with the store you buy it at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want you to research this, okay? I want you to research this and try and find out how much are car jacks costing, okay? Find the most expensive one, the price of the most expensive one, hydraulic car jack, and the price of the least expensive, the cheapest one.
Hydraulic car jack.
Yeah, please do that.
NSA.
Maybe a car jack is maybe 400 or 500 rands. Let us say a hydraulic car jack for 500 rands. Do you think it's worth paying that amount for a hydraulic car jack?
Ma'am, the most expensive one in South Africa is 39,952 rand 24 cents.
I think that must be a big. That must be a big one that is being used by the mechanics.
Yes, ma'am. And the cheapest one is 189 rand.
189 rand.
Yes.
The cheapest one. I think also the efficiency. You should look at the efficiency. With machines, if it's very cheap, you must look at the efficiency. If it's very expensive, you must look at its worth. Is it really reasonable to buy that machine at that price? But let's think about this, grade 9. You buy your car with a hydraulic jack sometimes in it. You know, when I buy my car, I do have a jack inside. Okay? Now, if I should buy the car jack for 39,000, I don't think I can buy my car with the one for 39,000. No. Cars don't come with that one. And I don't think it can come with the one for 100 and what? 40 something. Did you say that? What did you say is the cheapest price?
Ma'am, it's 189 Rand.
108. I don't
89
think,
Rand.
yeah, I don't think car dealers could sell their cars with that one either. Okay, maybe they could find one that is not that very cheap, but not that very expensive, because they want to sell their cars with the car checks. Okay, so let's say maybe a car check is 500 or 600 rands. Would it be worthy to buy a car check for that price? What do you think?
No, ma'am.
Because you have to explain. And I'll allow you to have your say here so that we can evaluate what other people think. But you must remember, I want to give you a mark, okay? Whatever you say must make sense, because I want to give you a mark for it.
Ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
I think because sometimes it depends on the brand of the car jack.
The price will depend on the brand.
Price
Right?
or the brand, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Sometimes we buy machines and we pay more just for the brand.
Yes, ma'am.
As technology people, we look at the efficiency of that machine. If it's a car check, it's just a car check. I wouldn't buy the one for 39,000 or even 10,000. It wouldn't be worth it for me, just as a driver of a car, to buy that a very expensive car jack just to change a tire from time to time, you see. But what I want is a car jack that will be efficient enough for me to lift a car when I have a puncture on the street. So if I should pay a price, it should be a price that the efficiency. I don't want to pay much. Nobody wants to pay a lot of money. But as long as I can serve the purpose of changing my tire so that it can just lift the car, and also the durability of that car jack. Because can you imagine if maybe this car jack breaks here on the lever? What can be done with it?
Nothing can be done.
Nothing, ma'am, because you need the lever in order to put
In order for
the effort.
It must be durable, because I will keep on pumping here, and it must be durable, you see. So just imagine if I buy that one for 180 rands and I pump it here, I change my tire today, and tomorrow I try and pump it again and it breaks here. Is it worth it?
No.
So
No, ma'am. Ma'am, may I please ask something?
Yes.
Ma'am, the oil reservoir, do you need to refill it every time?
Okay, no. Our systems, the hydraulic machines, it's a good question that you have asked. Remember, there will be friction. Whether it's a hydraulic press, whether it's a car jack, whether it's whatever a hydraulic machine, this oil that will be exposed to the friction of the pumping, This oil, in most machines, I don't know about the car check, in most machines, this oil needs to be changed because it gets dirty. And when it gets dirty, it can affect the opening of the valves here. And that will affect the output. Okay, because we want to apply an effort that will give us more mechanical advantage. Yeah?
Ma'am, what happens to the car if you don't change the oil?
Hey, you know what happens? The filters, if you don't change the oil, the filters, they become clogged with the oil.
Okay.
It's why it's very important to service your car so that you can change the oil. Because if the oil circulates and it collects dust and it collects metal, because this is metal, ne? If it collects
gets
metal,
rusty.
Yes, it gets rusty and it becomes very heavy. And now it clogs your systems. It will get stuck somewhere. Then your whole machine is not operating correctly. So the car, I've seen it recently, a car that just burst to flames. And the screen on the dashboard kept complaining about oil. It was showing an oil sign. So the owner of the car knew that this car was overdue for service. Then I remember she thought that maybe we had to add the oil. If you add the oil also, it's not good enough because you don't know what volume the reservoir can take. If you keep adding the oil, you're going to drown this system in oil. The whole machine is affected. It's a very good question. You're very bright, children. Are you answered though?
Yes, and why do cars overheat?
Cars overheat for different reasons. Cars can overheat because the fan is not working well, or because there is an electricity fault, or the water, the time. Cars overheat because of the shortage of water. There is a part in the car that we call the radiator. So with these hydraulic systems in machines, you keep pumping. This pumping will raise the temperature in the movements. Frictions will raise the temperature in the system. So for some machines, you need another cooling system to cool down the whole machine. If there is no cooling system, the cooling system is one, water, two, the fan. So if the water is short and the fan is not working, so this system can overheat. Not in the hydraulic car check, in other hydraulic machines as well. Okay, good question. You're smart. You're smart. Okay, let us go back to our worksheet. We say the amount of that we pay. Yes, my darling.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
In a car, what makes it move? Is it the water or the petrol?
What makes the car move? It is the input, the electricity, the input. As I remember, I told you last time that systems are powered. Remember? One of you asked me, You see, the input here is manual. You have to pump this lever. Okay? And going back to another machine, the input here is manual. It can be manual, but in a real hydraulic press, the input is not manual. You have to put this machine where it will be powered by electricity. So there will be other systems here which will bring an input here to in the input cylinder. Okay, so that's why we have to power our systems. When we power our systems, we plug them into the plugs or we use the battery. But we are using electricity. Electricity in the battery and electricity in them. We are using power in the battery and power in the mains, you see. So that's how we power our systems.
So ma'am, what's the difference between a manual car and an auto car?
In a manual car, it's that you select your gears manually. Okay, you use the gear lever to put when we are going to do gears, my darling. I will show you gearing up and gearing down. You do it manually in a manual car, in a manually driven car. You press your clutch in, select a gear. You select the first gear, then you gear up. As you are accumulating your speed, you gear up. That's the manual. But in an automatic, you don't select the gears manually. The car puts itself in the different gears as it is accumulating speed. That's the difference between an automatic and a manual car.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, my darling. So, back to the hydraulic car jack. It is good for us to pay maybe 500 rands. Yes, my darling.
We need to wrap up. We are already almost 10 minutes over time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right. A hydraulic car jack is good because it gives us a mechanical advantage. We need a mechanical advantage to lift the car. So a car jack is one machine that gives us good mechanical, small input, big output to lift the car, because you cannot lift the car with our own hands. Okay. Is it safe to use? Yes, it is safe to use. Okay, as long as you know how to use it. All right. Does it necessarily have to look pretty? Not necessarily, no. When we make products in technology, we want them to look pretty. There is aesthetics, but we don't need much of aesthetics because it stays there under the boot. Inside the boot, you even have that thing that you lift. So it's not for display. Hey, I haven't seen any car displaying a hydraulic car jack. Grade 9, thank you. We had a great lesson and I hope to continue with you. We'll do some revision of the calculations of hydraulic systems, and we'll also do other mechanical systems and control. Thank you very much for attending. You are great. I love you so much.